Well, greetings, everyone. Welcome to tonight's career panel discussion. This is the second partnership event of the Indiana AES section and the AES Columbus section. I'm Dill, chair for the Indiana section and the ringleader for this evening's discussions. For those of you who joined us for the November career panel event, well, welcome back. And for those of you who were not able to join us then, there is a recording of that event on the Indiana section website. That would be indianaaes.org. Wanted to give a special thank you to Ted Chandler from Marquis Rental and Staging and Lesley Fogle, who's joining us again this evening, as well as to Paul Kavicki from Cafe Theater for their participation in that November event. Now, before we get rolling here, there are a few housekeeping items to cover. And the first one is AES membership. If you're not a member currently, well, needless to say, we encourage you to join up and get involved. There are lots of truly useful benefits for the associate, student, and faculty membership that you can find at the mothership website, aes.org. So for an example, some of the favorites are the AES special buys section, the vast video library, but in fact, it's the networking that makes really what the AES is all about. So, hey, go see for yourself, aes.org. Now, on the local level, you can find out what's going on with the Indiana section at indianaaes.org and the Columbus, Ohio section at aescolumbus.org. Both sites will have information on membership as well as past and upcoming events. As questions come up during the discussion, please put them in the chat and we will get to them as soon as we can. The plan is to keep this at an hour, so let's get started. Last thing, please enter your name and where you're attending from in the chat. And thanks for that. And the reason I'm asking for that is so that we can attempt to gauge our methods of outreach to get to the students and let them know about events of this nature. So it will help us a lot to know where you're from as you're attending this evening. I promise we're not going to sell your name or where you're from or anything like that. It truly is just to gain some data here to help us with our methods of outreach. So tonight's topic, you could sum it up with getting connected in professional audio through internships in the fields of audio for broadcast production and in audio systems integration with leading industry professionals. And I am delighted to say we have a splendid group of industry professionals with us tonight. So introductions are in order. So please welcome Eric French. Eric is the senior broadcast technician at WOSU Public Media. Also welcome Lesley and Fogle. Lesley is the AES Columbus chair and music tech internship coordinator. Get my words out, thank you. And Eric Brown. Eric is the general manager of American Sound and Electronics in the Indianapolis office. So I said, my name is Dill. I'm the Indiana AES section chair and your moderator and ringmaster for tonight's festivities. A sincere thanks to everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us tonight. So that's done. Let's get started. So in order to simplify matters, because we have Mr. Eric Brown and Mr. Eric French, we're going to refer to each by their names, Eric Brown and Eric French, and just not Eric. So hopefully that'll keep things under control here. So first thing, Eric French. As a senior broadcast tech at WOSU, could you describe your general job responsibilities and the people that you oversee?
Yeah, sure. So WOSU is a dual licensee public media organization. So we have, we're university owned and operated. We have a TV and radio license. We have 2 radio stations, and I am technically in radio operations, although anyone in public media wears many hats. And even though we are a large and, budget-wise, pretty big public media organization, there's still a lot of overlap with people. My main responsibilities are technical in the radio field. We're under the engineering umbrella, but I am in operations, which is more audio engineering, studio maintenance, station support for people that use the audio. So I'm not like running cables through the walls or, hitting the transmitter with a wrench. But, from time to time, I have to go out and do that kind of stuff. About half of my day is going to be sort of prescribed duties, collecting shows from the network, editing shows from producers, recording voice tracks, recording studio bookings like podcasts. I do a fair amount of classical music recording because one of our stations is classical music. So I record operas, symphonies, chamber music, early music, anything in that classical world. But honestly, about half of my day is just spent as station support. As with anything technical, once you start to let people know that you know how to do this stuff, you get asked to do everything. I mean, I've helped with operating systems. I've helped with, mixing boards. It's not all sound. I mean, there's a fair amount of camaraderie with the team here. And the other major part of my job is automation. So my department is in charge of keeping the station running when there's no one physically there.
Okay. Busy day, right?
Some days are super boring too.
Yeah, I'll bet. Well, thanks for that. Eric Brown, could you please tell us a bit about the types of AV installations that American Sound Electronics are involved in, and a little bit about the various positions that you've held in your tenure?
Sure can. So American Sound, we are a solutions provider integrator, mostly in the Midwest right now. We're growing, we're expanding. Where we play mostly inside the integration realm is corporate technology, so conference rooms, auditoriums, training rooms, things of that nature, really providing solutions that help our customers do their business without worrying about technology. Let us do that and give them something to use. We do a lot of classroom technology, so and since we're talking to a lot of collegiate students here, so pretty much any classroom you walk into that has technology, that's the type of solutions that we bring for higher education, along with digital signage, stadiums, arenas. We just finished the new Turfway racetrack down in Kentucky, so it's one of the larger projects where we get into, outside of your typical classrooms and conference rooms, where we get into event spaces, entertainment spaces, things of that nature. Those solutions can be anything from a digital signage to, I think we're getting ready to do a 40-foot diameter hanging LED wall inside the new racetrack out in Terre Haute, Indiana. So, video, audio control. There's a lot of pieces that go together when you're a solutions provider. In my tenure, Jay, so I'm about 28 years deep into this market and in this industry. I started out as an install tech. So I think, learning in the field's a big part of what goes on in our industry, because you can take that in a lot of different directions. From an install tech, I've done installation management. I got into project management. I spent probably the majority of my tenure in engineering and operations as a design engineer, director of engineering. Done that globally, all over the world for small companies, huge companies, really kind of all over the place. It's been quite a ride. And then ultimately landed here at American Sound as a general manager in Indiana, where my daily responsibilities is, in a nutshell, my job is to be in tune with every team that we have, whether it's integration, sales, internal admin teams, making sure that they have what they need, and if they don't, to remove those barriers so they can be as efficient as possible.
Great. So just so everyone that's viewing this understands, when you say a solutions provider, your company actually procures the equipment, transports it to the site, installs it, programs it, tunes it, whatever, and then trains and turns it over to the end user. That's what your company actually does when we say an integrator or a solutions provider. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would expand on that a little bit, Jay, to say that that's the middle portion of it, right? The front side of that is the consulting and design portion of it, which we're deeply ingrained in. And then on the back side of it is we're going to support that. So we have an entire support team. So we're not walking away after that's installed. We're there to support, train, manage whatever is needed to be done.
I think that's why American Sound's been so successful.
Yes, sir.
So Lesley, as the coordinator, please tell us about the Music Tech internship program.
Well, can I ask Eric Brown? Is that a chain? Is American Sound a chain, or is that just in Indianapolis?
So our headquarters is in Covington, Kentucky, which is just across the river from Cincinnati. We have a small office in Louisville that we're growing right now. In Indianapolis is the newest location.
Gotcha. Great. My name's Lesley. I'm the internship coordinator at Capital University. I've been doing sound for over 25 years, working in the industry, and I've been in almost every genre of sounds, mostly sound for picture, for commercial and industrial environments. And then I adjunct as an internship coordinator. I get a lot out of it. Just trying to help the students who are in their senior year, had about 4 years of music tech training. I like helping students figure out career strategy and taking a look at, the bigger picture in the long term, how they could apply their education in the big old arena known as audio.
Well, cool. So Eric Brown, got another question for you. So we understand American Sound has used an internship program before. Could you tell us a little bit about it, how that program was set up, kind of describe it, and did y'all have any success with it?
Yeah, we've had really good success with internships. I'm going to speak on behalf of American Sound, but that was actually at a previous company that I helped build, and then it got acquired. So American Sound's a little new for me, if you will. But yeah, in the same arena, same type of work. We've worked with some of the local universities, Indiana University, Purdue University in the past, and their AES chapters. We've brought in interns really in a lot of different positions. Generally, we like to try to get interns into the field, right, where they can see how things are put together, what it takes, the different trades that we have to work with, because we really touch a little bit of everything, right? We have to coordinate with everything from electrical to data to HVAC to the architect and everybody in between. So it's a good experience to kind of understand how these things get built, how they get planned out, how they get integrated and handed over to an end user. Beyond that, though, we have had interns come in with acoustic backgrounds to help us measure spaces, to help us evaluate how we're going to get equipment into different challenging acoustic spaces. We have had interns come into us under CAD programs. We do a lot of work in CAD. We do everything from architecturals to ceiling plans, elevations and flow drawings, and everything that's required for a project to be built out. So bringing them in for the summer has always been a popular thing because they're off. We've brought them in unpaid. We've brought them in paid. It's really kind of been specific to the program that company may have been that I was with at the time. For us, I think bringing in a paid intern shows a commitment on our part to say that we can further their career once they get out of college as well. I mean, we like to bring interns in as a feeder program into our business when we can. It's been successful for us that way. And we brought people in on the acoustic side. We've brought people in on the engineering side, on the drafting side, and had great success with that.
Awesome. Eric French, you have internship programs. What's been your experience? Degrees of success, failure? What you feel?
Yes. So with us being part of a university, we have a pretty steady connection of students who are looking for experience. 2 radio stations, a TV station has actually a lot of opportunities. We have a daily talk show, news and current events that often has anywhere from 2 to 5 sometimes, part-time student producers. Let's see, we have student board ops occasionally. And from time to time in the engineering department, we do partner with the School of Engineering. most of the kids that come in with, more of a math and science engineering background, they can usually learn the audio aspects of it pretty quick. Sending a kid to a transmitter is just too dangerous. So, there's just some things we can't do. But one of my favorite parts is any of the audio interns. We get a lot of kids come in saying, they're just burning to learn and do audio and get a career in the field. Can they just work with me for a few months? I love working with them. But also, I guess we recently have started a partnership with the Air Force, where for the last 6 months of active duty, Air Force broadcasters will intern with me as they, I guess, just get back into civilian life.
Do you find those potential people at Wright-Patterson, or how do you come across someone like that?
We just started the program, and the first candidate that we had actually reached out to us. We had no idea that they did such a thing. But he was from Dayton, and we're in Columbus, Ohio, so he was able to commute like a 45-minute drive for him, so it wasn't too bad. Or he was the Dayton area, but yeah, we get a lot of interns either through placing industry ads, or we get a lot of kids that just call us and just express interest.
So word of mouth, really.
Yeah, I'm always more interested in the students that just call me up and want to learn.
Good. So could you outline what you're looking for in a broadcast production candidate as far as education, experience, skill sets, attitude? I think you covered attitude, the desire to want to learn, but what about some of these other aspects, education, experience, skill sets? What are you looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. There's any number of internship opportunities in broadcast, and they each have a different set of educational needs. In the engineering department, you definitely need computer engineering. At this point, radio engineering seems just like computer engineering to me. Those that intern with me in operations can come in with more of a musical background. And while we're not always producing music, having a good knowledge of microphones, mic placement, basic audio editing always helps. And also, we get a lot of English majors. We get a lot of poli-sci majors that want to produce on our radio shows.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it really comes down to the willingness to learn and the curiosity for it.
Okay. Well, Eric Brown, similar question. Integration, from the integration and installing point of view, what are you looking for in terms of education, experience, skill sets, attitudes?
Really across the board, I'm going to echo what Eric French said. I mean, a great attitude and some kind of coachable passion, right? I think what our team looks for a lot of times is anybody that's coming in excited to be part of the industry, willing to learn. The education background, I think, probably guides us more towards where that person fits and what their desires are. I think we're a broad enough, being a solutions provider, we're a broad enough type of company that whether you're in software development, whether you're in audio engineering, whether you're in acoustics, whether you're in broadcast video, UC type solutions like we're on now with Zoom and how you deliver that to small to large spaces. You can really kind of go anywhere, and I'm probably a testament to that because I've been in about every position that you can be in this type of company, and I've grown with the companies too, right? So what we're looking for more than anything is that attitude to learn, that passion, kind of like what Eric French said, and then you tell us where do you want to go, and then my job is to help get you there. I mean, that's kind of a general answer, Jay, but I mean, I think what you try to do is you build a company that has the people that want to be there, want to learn, have that open mind, can take that criticism from a team and build on it and really skyrocket their career.
Yeah. Lesley, do you have anything to add to Eric and Eric having presented terms in as far as background, applications background, that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, how long are both of your internship programs? I mean, are they typically like, you're trying to get students a few months of seeing day-to-day operations, or not just students, but anybody interested? Or are you generally looking to hire people?
Are you expressing that to Eric Brown or to Eric French?
I'm expressing that to Eric.
So from our perspective, my approach is, if I can bring them on long-term and ultimately land them in our company and give them that opportunity, I will absolutely take that every single time. If they have a requirement or a need, or I've had many interns that live out of state that are in school in state, and we only get them for a period of time, happy to do that too, right? I mean, we're always in an ebb and flow type of industry where we may have an enormous backlog one summer and not as much work the next summer. So that kind of lends itself to how many people we can bring on at one time. But yeah, anytime we can bring people on that are going through the educational process, and get them some experience and have the opportunity to bring them on the team through that experience, absolutely we'll take advantage of that.
Yeah, we're university, so we're semester based. We always have a minimum of 1 semester if you can intern. Most of our folks end up doing a year, or a school year, I suppose. We do often hire our intern graduates for some of the entry-level positions. As a matter of fact, earlier today, one of our former TV crew interns interviewed for a full-time position. So, they already know what it's like working with you. So yeah, I'd always rather hire somebody that I know.
And then Eric, do you guys take all yours from OSU? The campus based on, or do you?
No, we've had interns from Capital, Otterbein. We've had shorter high school, like UA, Upper Arlington, and I forget, a couple other high schools off and on will have shorter interns, more like week long or like a few days at a time. But yeah, to echo again, like what Eric said, if you've got the energy and the willingness to learn, I don't care what school you're from.
I think that's great. I think it's great what you all are doing, especially because nobody knows what they want to do for a living, not even 20 years after doing it. So
I 100% agree with that statement.
Any chance to spend time in day-to-day operations just means a little bit more about a genre. A focus that you might have to visit later, like once your dreams of being a rock star fall apart.
No,
or not fall apart. I don't mean that. I mean, all right, I'm muting myself. I didn't mean fall apart. I mean, once your dreams like have, a mortgage.
Hilarious. Hey, Eric French, a question that I wanted to ask you is, in your broadcast productions, you mentioned you do radio and also television production in the studio. Does your group also do like sports broadcast production too? Like, do you have your people out doing audio at football or lacrosse or basketball or whatever? Or is that a different group in the organization?
No, that's as a matter of fact, WOSU, we in years past have done different sports, but no, we don't do any sports coverage now.
You don't do any sports production. Okay.
And that's a huge bummer, man, because sports were super fun to cover.
Well, there's a lot of people that it's just a broadening. You may come in to do studio production and then get put on a sports job and go, oh man, this is the greatest thing ever. Or the same thing, you may be put on a sports job in the pouring cold rain and decide that studio work's pretty good, so. But
yeah, we get a lot of kids that come in wanting to produce music. They want to make indie rock records, and they see that as the one path to success. And that's one of the things that I always really try to hit with young folks is like, there are many ways up this mountain, and like, you might have a great time running a boom and a lav recording corporate talking heads. I mean, like, just because you're attracted to a certain end product, such as rock music or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only thing that you're going to actually enjoy doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and Eric has interesting because Eric's in a band, has been in many bands for quite some time, and I mean that's just the truth about it. Like, I mean, I've done film and commercial, all this kind of stuff, and I can't wait until I have a job where I'm not running across a field or running with a pack mule, like where you can sit down with talking heads. So like your needs change throughout your life, and it's about being able to do it all, right?
Yeah.
And you also grow. I mean, I worked in essentially pop production for a number of years. And when my position at WOSU opened up, a large part of it is recording classical music, which is a very different skill set, a different tool set, a different mindset. And if you put a limiter on classical music, oh my God, they get so mad. So
That's hilarious.
To have dynamic range.
Yeah.
and I was never, I mean, I appreciated classical music, but I was never passionate about it. And now, now I love it.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
You don't even really need a compressor on that because your body's the compressor for the most part.
And some of the Mahler symphonies are longer than many field recorders could even record a single file for. So that gives you an extra set of problems to deal with. So it's fun. It's good. It's exciting.
Yeah. Eric Brown. So how would a person go about applying for an internship at American Sound? Whether it's the Indy office or the Northern Kentucky office, for that matter.
Call me, email me. I'm in it every day, all day, as far as the business goes, in all the offices. So I'm general manager for Indianapolis, but I'm involved in every one of our locations. I help lead up the programs in terms of, if you will, matrices, if you will, for the different groups, whether it's software development and programming or the engineers or just the standard operations team. So by all means, call my cell phone, send me an email, and I will, if it's not me then that needs to talk to you, then I'll get whoever it is connected to you, and we'll take it from there.
Eric French, same question. How would an intern, you mentioned earlier that a lot of people come to you, and they did so out of word of mouth. What other mechanism is there a mechanism in place for you to entertain internships from people?
Yeah, we have our news and current affairs talk show that has a page on our home webpage, wosu.org. They pretty much every semester post openings for interns. But really, if you find a station that you think is cool, just call them.
Just call them.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, it seems so crazy. Like I would have never thought of that, but most of the tech-based interns that I get are because they just wanted to be there.
Okay.
Right. I mean, people can do that, right? You can always be like, get away, you bother me. But it seems to me like you hear somebody's name maybe 3 times before you hire them. And
well, Lesley, that's a good point. And the next thing, based on Eric and Eric's input here, how would you best coach an applicant with a resume and communication skills for success? I mean,
well, it's not just internships. I mean, we're talking about audio careers, and internships are,
just part of it,
students,
right?
but just, and I was just telling somebody recently that, who was actually looking for an assistant position, but was framing it an internship position and possibly looking at an apprenticeship position, but really was needing to just go in direct to a job and make money, and try to have some facet of what they love doing. So I've never gotten any job that I didn't reach out at least 5 times. And employers love persistent people. Like you want people to come in and like do all that work that you hate. Like today, when I spent all day messing with my audio device drivers and I want someone to take that from me. Most people want you to come in, they want you to be in the know in your industry, they want you to take all that. They want you to like be younger and sharper than them and to take care of a lot of those things. So if you're reaching out to somebody several times until they say, stop bothering me, they're actually probably going to admire it the same way that they would respect a conversation about pay, just like. And so another way too, there is the networking, like Jay, that you talked about, not to just plug AES, but join AES. No, but join organizations where you're going to be in the room with people that have places that you can work, and then talk to them about what you have in common, which at least with this group, AES, is audio. But I mean, probably Eric, you like, any of the trade places are good. Like Eric, probably Eric Brown, like you probably go to like conventions. You probably do what? The consumer electronics?
Infocom is the one that we do. So it's under
Infocom.
Avixa, right? We don't get on the consumer side too much. My company personally, we try to stay away from the residential side. It's really a different beast. But I'm going to go back to what you just said, Lesley. I mean, having somebody come in, I mean, you made the comment, doing what you did today, like messing with drivers and like stuff that we don't necessarily want to do, right? But how did we get to this point? Days and weeks and months on end of doing that work, right? So how do you get to be a general manager for a company the size of American Sound? Well, I mean, a lot of late nights in the studio, a lot of late nights on the job sites, being a technician, being a software developer, like you've just got to build your way up there, and you're not going to do that without doing all the little stuff in the beginning, right? Because without that knowledge, you really don't have a foundation to build your career to the next step. So, you know, have that open mind, have that willingness to come in and do whatever's asked, and then understand that you're not being asked to do it just because somebody doesn't want to. You're being asked to do it because we've done it 5,000 times and we don't want to do it 5,001, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then one more thing I'll say too, and then Eric French, like you guys probably, everybody probably goes to NAB, right? National Association of Broadcasters Convention, or a lot of people from the, am I mistaken?
No.
Not every year. I mean, budgets are tight. But Vegas is fun, so I mean, I go every time they let me.
Right. But
Hey, I'm gonna make a comment on that too, Eric and Lesley. I'm sure you'll agree with this. I mean, we're talking serious stuff here. We're talking our careers. We're talking about what it takes to get there and the hard work that we've put in. But don't be remiss of the fact that we're not saving lives here, right? Like, we work in a fun industry and we have a lot of fun most days. It's a grind some days, right? You've got to get through the hard stuff, but it's audio, it's visual, it's making sound and big pictures and loud music and all of those fun things. So at the end of the day, even on the days when it gets hard, I think we still work in a pretty cool industry.
it's yeah, 100% true. And then I'm going to wrap up this point and then let you two speak. But when you're in a trade association, when you're in a professional society, they usually do something like, not to plug AES again, but there's like, you know, there's a journal and there's a technical library of tens of thousands of documents that, and you can literally, they summarize what is current and you get to see the industry that's current. And that is the same with all of those trade groups, and it's about networking. And I think I was answering an original question from Jay. Thank you.
Well, you know, the other thing about AES too is you can go on YouTube and you can tune into 20 people talking about a speaker, you know, or whatever, some device. At AES, you can actually connect with the actual developer a lot of times. You know, they will have written something about their, you know, about their invention or their product or their concepts, and you can actually read or watch or listen to, you know, the people who are actually involved in those developments.
All of those you can.
It's amazing.
I can't tell you how many people I've met, and it's true at all the conventions. I mean, most of it starts from a small thing, and you're all on the same focus, and it's one of the few times you can be in a room and like nobody asks what it is you're talking about.
Yeah. So I had another question that I wanted to ask the three of you, but I think we've already covered it. And that was how does an applicant get to the top of the pile? And I think all three of you have said basically be persistent, do your homework, and want the internship.
Yeah,
I mean-
the do your homework part is always my first question. The first question I ask everybody is, what do you love about WOSU? And you'd be surprised how many intern applicants are like, I've never listened, I don't know. And at that point, it's like, well, you clearly don't care that much.
Yeah, you're not basically on the top of the pile, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric,
And
Eric Brown, excuse me.
For people that don't know
hello.
WOSU, it's an NPR affiliate, right?
That's
Okay.
NPR, PBS TV, and then classical music. Yeah.
All right. I think Jay, you nailed it. Persistence, right? Let us know that you want to be here. If we don't have an opportunity right now for an internship for whatever reason, and I say, hey, like, call me back in 3 months, because things can change for us in a whim. I mean, we may be waiting for certain projects to land, and this week we have $10 million in projects, and next week we have 20. Like, it can change for us that fast, right? So, that persistence is key. And I think exactly what Eric and Lesley were talking about too, like, do your homework. If you're coming to talk to us about it, at least visit our website, right? Get some idea of questions you might have specific to the company, specific to who you're talking to just generate a discussion. I mean, more than anything, when we're talking to, whether it's people that we're bringing on board for full-time employment, whether it's interns, even whether it's customers, really what we like to do is just have discussions, but they really need to be meaningful discussions. So find a way to make that a meaningful discussion.
So I wanted to ask both you, Eric Brown and Eric French, about what an intern's basically, going on the assumption that an applicant is accepted for an internship, are they handed a broom and told to start sweeping? Or is there something else? And I think both of you have already pointed out that there is literally something else. It's more in your application review process. You communicate with that applicant and determine where their skill sets are, where your needs are, and how you can make them meet, basically. Is that true, or do you have something else to add to that, Eric French?
Jay, that was really good. Yeah, when we need an intern, it's usually for the least glamorous part of that job.
Give him a broom.
I mean, like, but on the other hand, one of our folks here tonight is my studio partner, Tom, who, he and I, for years have operated a two-man studio, and I'm not above sweeping floors. I'm not above taking out the trash. So, if I'm willing to teach you how to do this craft, you're not above sweeping floors either.
Yeah.
Well, I was using sweeping the floors as a metaphor for very, very entry-level work, but I mean,
yeah,
I think it's something that we understand, right?
You're often doing something boring. You could be manning a stationary camera. I mean, for as obtuse as that sounds.
Yeah, that is
and
whoa.
And the really boring jobs are the ones that really weed out the students that aren't going to really cut it, because you got to stay focused, and a lot of this job gets boring. Like, if you can't tag promos, if you can't put station IDs on promos without spacing out and losing focus, you're just not going to make it in broadcast. We're not always producing, we're not always recording opera, as exciting as that is, but like, we're usually just doing boring day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, and if you can't amuse yourself during operating something like a stationary camera or a long format recording, then that's really embarrassing when you mess that up.
And I've messed up all of it. I did an excellent interview once. I interviewed a woman, had a great conversation, 20 minutes, and then I looked over and tape was never rolling. So, we all We all make
Got
the
it.
mistakes.
We all learn from him, hopefully.
Next time you tell that story, Eric French, like use someone else's name. Like I knew a guy.
So my friend Lesley was doing this interview. And
Eric Brandon,
I
do you have
think-
something you wanted to add, please?
Yeah, I think for us, it's because we really do want to try to bring interns in where we can. We look at that internship as more of a developmental process for us. So it's not to say that you won't be pushing the broom, but you know, if you're going into the field to learn things, there's a good chance that you're probably hauling ladders around. You're probably carrying spools of cable. You're probably understanding where you've got to pull a cable to and from. Why is that important? Because you probably need to know what's going down that cable, what that cable path looks like, whether there's going to be some type of interference that's brought into that electrical signal, you know, throughout the process, and how you're going to protect that. So, I mean, that like the integrity of the system itself starts literally with how we're going to pull the cable, which is critical to understand from an installation perspective, from an engineering perspective, from a system performance perspective, right? So if you're more into the drafting side of things, then you may be sitting there for days on end creating CAD blocks for the team where they're going to use them every day for the next 5 years, right? So it's still probably going to be some of that mundane, like, how long do I have to do this kind of work? But I can't emphasize enough that anybody that you're going to work beside has been there. They've all done it, and that's where we all started, and that's how it works, right? And if you can come in with the experience behind you to skip some of those steps, we'll take that too. But you know, really, we need everybody to learn every aspect of it.
Well, Eric, that brings me basically to a next question that I wanted to ask you, and that is, at American Sound, do you have or what kind of in-house training program do you have for interns, or is it just all on the job?
No, it's not all on the job. There's a majority of it is on the job. We've got a lot of smart people in our company, on the engineering side, on the operations side, on the software development side too. So not just on the job training, but we have different engineers within the company that put together like audio 101 classes, DSP programming 101 classes. We're talking open architecture DSP. How do you know where the blocks go and how to make the signal flow, and then it's actually going to have good sound coming out the other side, kind of thing.
And your group does that in-house?
We do that in-house. We create all that training ourselves. And then beyond that, there's a tremendous amount, and Jay, you know, this is a tremendous amount of manufacturer training and industry training within what we do. So, you know, whether it's AVIXA, so avixa.org, right? That's the one that runs the biggest trade show for us in the world every year. They've got a tremendous training program. I've been on the item writing committee for the tests for the certifications, so I can tell you that those tests are very on point. They're going to test you for what you know and what you don't know, and that's all that training. A lot of that's free from them through our membership with them as well. So manufacturer specific training, industry specific training to organizations like that, and then absolutely on the job and in-house training. I would say that's a huge part of a never-ending initiative of continuous improvement, right? And that's there's no other way to build a company unless you're making sure that everybody's fresh and educated and staying on top of it.
Things change all the time, every single day, I think.
Absolutely.
Jeez. Eric French, what do you guys do there at WOSU in terms of, do you do formal training, or is it pretty much just kind of like an on-the-job training thing?
No, on the job is pretty much all we have time for. Although I think at Ohio State, we also do have access to a fair amount of resources. If you're a student, especially if you're a student intern, you have access to the entire Adobe suite. You also have access to all of the LinkedIn training videos, and you have access to either free or discounted publications. So that's where the self-motivation is really going to excel.
Cool. Lesley, do you have anything to add to this training question?
Just that maybe OSU should get a giant AES membership so people have access to the technical library of all of the audio inventions since the dawn of man. No, I don't. I think it's
Done in the back of
anything to add. I think that that your programs they both sound fascinating, and I don't have anything to add that we haven't already said, that any skill, if you're continuously learning, you will eventually unlock the entire audio level. And
I actually have one last thing that I'd like to say. A lot of the students that I get, especially, 20 years old, give or take, that come in ready to learn audio, they're coming in on fire. This is absolutely what they must do. And they're like, how do I EQ a snare drum? And my answer is always go to that early morning class and don't skip it. Then do your homework. Like, don't call off your job at Chipotle tonight. Because, these kids are always like, well, screw that. I'm going to call off tonight and work on mixes. And I'm just like, man, these are the weird little skills that actually help you be a better engineer, is just be better at responsibility. Just do what you do well, and then sound will just follow with that.
I think to add to that, Eric, understand that it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to be part of a team, right? And your job is to make sure that you're doing your part on that team, and that they're going to count on you to do that part. So 100% agree with what Eric just said. Like, learn your responsibility, do what you say you're going to do it when you say you're going to do it, because people are going to be counting on you, no matter how small you think that detail might be or that task might be. It may be an absolute critical path in some process that's happening or some production that's happening, and it has to happen.
yeah, if you all these are transferable too. Like, if you're doing if you're learning at, say, your organization, Eric Brown, if you're rigging, that's going to translate to live concert tours. That's going to translate to corporate installations on many levels. Gosh, Eric French, you do a whole gamut of things that translate to whatever industry you're at whatever time that you're in it. It all translates into something that you can change to, especially if you're constantly learning in the arena of audio, which is married to video, which is at its heart a creative core.
Which is all turning into IT on half of this stuff too. So like, it just keeps going. Like, you can go in so many different directions right now inside what we do and inside this industry, that my biggest recommendation would be find what gets you out of bed in the morning and go do that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So just say, Eric Brown, this probably is more in your camp, but what are safety issues and things that an intern should not do, should not do, as it pertains to safety? And this is kind of under the assumption that you brought somebody in and they're going through trainings and so forth. How do you address the matter of safety, I guess?
So great question. I start every Monday morning. We have an 8:30 a.m. all hands call with everybody, and that is the number one subject every Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. Right? Because especially, we're a $40+ million company. We're not small, but I will tell you, one OSHA recordable for us on a job site could shut us down. Like, it's that important. From a safety perspective, number one, for anybody new coming in, if you're not comfortable doing something, raise your hand and say it, right? Don't be too proud. Don't do something you're scared of. We work at a lot of high spots. I used to be a safety manager, so nothing slides in our office. If you're getting over 4 foot on a ladder, somebody needs to spot it. If you're going up into a lift, you need to have a harness on. You need to be trained on what fall protection is and how that works. You need to know how to rig yourself off so that you have that safety first and foremost in hand, right? So that's first and foremost for us. Almost everybody that comes in, especially if you're going into the field full time, you're going to go through at least a 10-hour OSHA safety training. It's boring, it's awful, but it is absolutely critical and 100% can save your life.
Eric French, do you have any of those in the studio? It's a completely different matter, but do you have any of those kind of training or safety training aspects too?
Not really.
Too much.
We're in essentially an office-based environment now. It's don't spill coffee on the mixing board. I did that once.
Tend your cables.
Yeah.
For your own safety. I just want to jump in real quick on what Eric Brown said, because I see some some seniors from my school here. There's no, there's no like, so what Eric Brown said was correct. If there's any situation where you're going to get into any kind of safety issue, they're going to provide training, OSHA training. And then some of these industries will have, IATSE takes care of like a lot of safety training, but during an internship, at least with our school, there's no situation where you have to make that decision. You shouldn't be doing any of that. You shouldn't be driving anybody in your personal car, because if there's an accident, you could lose your, personal liability. There's commercial licenses for that. And then like, don't touch any wires.
You don't know about.
Because if they want you doing that stuff, then there's a process like he talks about, there's classes. So when in doubt, don't do it.
There you go. Well, so Eric French, question for you. In terms of timing, how soon should a intern applicant apply to you or reach out to you? Is it the kind of thing where they should be talking to you 3 months in advance, a month in advance, 2 days in advance?
Yeah, good question there. Since we are university based, we are semester based. So that's a great question. If you call me now that we're in the middle of a semester, you'll be looking at probably the next semester. I mean, unless there's a terrible shortage or something, but yeah, you're planning a semester ahead of yourself to work at a university licensee.
So at this point, you're in spring semester, right? So you'd be talking either about a summer or next fall, if they were to reach out to you.
And in the spring semester, we do occasionally line up fall interns. But we're not on, it's not like we go black for the summer. So we have just as much going on in the summer. Yeah. So, yeah. And actually a lot of the kids actually excel in the summer because they don't have school to worry about. So they can actually just do the work and really be very present. Mm-hmm. So yeah, summer internships are probably much less stressful, and you probably get more or have a possibility to get more out of it.
Can agree more there. By the way, Eric French and Mr. Tom Boyer there run a recording studio and have a lot to teach there. Not that I want you to be pestered outside of the WOSU thing, but hey, Jay, should we Q&A here soon? Because it is a top of the hour. And
yeah, I was, as a matter of fact, I wanted to remind everyone, if anyone hasn't already, to please put your name and where you're from, or where you're attending from in the chat. Again, so we have hopefully some data that we can go back on and see how we're doing as far as our outreach is concerned. And there was there's a question here about Dante, and I think Eric Brown answered that on the in the chat about whether or not Dante really was a kind of a prerequisite or not, and don't think it necessarily is it, Eric Brown? You can pretty much either get it through American Sound or you can get it on your own. But it's not a prerequisite for someone being an intern. But it would certainly
not a prerequisite. But if you love audio and you're getting into that field, I mean, there's a lot of great information in those first 2 classes. There would be no reason not to go down that path just for your own interest, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone else in the group has any other further questions, if you want to put that in the chat, I think we're probably at the point where we can answer any questions from the outside.
Or even wave a hand, right?
Or wave a hand if you got something.
Turn your video on if you want, unless all of you are horribly disfigured. And even if you are,
we're not here to judge, right?
We can turn that into a great song.
Yeah, right.
No questions. Mr. Schulenberg and Buford T. Hedgehog, long time.
if anybody has questions after the fact, I mean, my cell phone number is in chat. I don't know if I put my email address in there. I'll throw that
No,
in
you
there
put
real quick.
your company email or your company web address in there. But if you want to put your email address in there, that'd be
Yeah.
fine.
I'll throw my email address in there too.
Well, one of the, kind of, I guess, in a wrap here of sorts, our first, this is actually for the for our Indiana group. This is our third career effort at a career panel. Our first one had like 5 people, all from different walks of audio. We had Alan Alford, who was the front of house engineer for the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. We had Liz Alford, who was like the wireless tech engineer at Jonas Productions. We had Clem, I can't remember Clem's last name right off, but he's a freelance broadcast guy that does mostly sports for everything from NBA to NFL to baseball and all sorts of things. Golly, you know what? There was a couple other people on that. It was fascinating. The one that we had in November, which was the partnership between the Indiana and the Columbus section, had Ted from Markey's Rental and Staging. That's a rental and staging production company, and that's all they do, which is, a very interesting path of or a walk of audio there.
Started my career there, Jay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of people have.
Pushing brooms.
Yeah, pushing broom. Yeah.
No
A lot
joke.
of people. Yeah, a lot of people have. Well, I had the great fortune. I actually met Chuck Markey when there was, I think, 3 people that worked there on Illinois Street. Oh my gosh. That shows how
You're
old
going way
I-
back.
Yeah, I'm old. Yeah. And Paul, of course, Kavicki he's all about theater. They're all in live theater. So having broadcasts and having integration in solutions providers, we've worked really hard to provide a lot of different views on pathways in audio as a career and as a profession. So hopefully anybody that's interested can view the recordings of these events on our indianaaes.org, and Lesley will, I'm sure Nate and Brent can work out a way to share that so that you can post it on your
So you two can get 6 million resumes.
Yeah. Well,
Hey,
You're
Eric
welcome.
French, what was that website you said to look at news on?
Sure. I'm going to write it in the chat now.
Okay,
It,
okay.
Our news and current affairs shows is called All Sides. So it's wosu.org/all sides.
Okay.
And then actually just go to WOSU also. Our TV crew has a lot of student interns. They actually basically rely on student interns. So there's a lot of opportunities there.
And do you work on do you do the Broad and High show too?
I produce the music video series. So I do all the sound work on that.
Like all the in-house concerts and stuff?
All the in-house concerts. Yeah, so WOSU TV does a weekly, just local magazine style show. And every episode ends with a live in-studio performance. And that's the best part of my job. Multi-tracked, Pro Tools, editing. I mean, that's the part of it that kind of makes all the boring promo tagging worthwhile.
I forgot to ask both of you, and I mean, just starting through Eric French, do you have any internship horror stories? Like
I had to demote an intern once. The kid that I had that had the most passion for audio I've ever seen just could not get his shit together, and he showed up too late one time, and something that was supposed to be prepared for air didn't air right. And it was the only time I wasn't like yelling because like Eric said, the sun still rose. But like I did have to demote a kid, and it was pretty gut wrenching.
I guess fortunately I don't have anything to share there.
It just
We've been pretty successful.
It just goes back to show up, be responsible, have some passion for your work. God, if you don't have that, go find something else, I guess. Bill Schellenberg, if you can keep it to 2 minutes, and I mean it, You got to keep it to 2 minutes. Please introduce yourself and a quick review on what you've seen this evening.
Well,
2 minutes, buddy.
you know me too well.
Well,
But I could go all day, of course, but I have to, I've done very well biting my tongue through this whole thing. I mean, in agreement, I wanted to second everything everyone has said. And the I think it was Eric Brown said, just do what you say you're going to do in any walk of life, anything you do. And the other piece of advice that I have taken to giving young people now is just take personal satisfaction in doing your assigned role the best you can, and take every job as not a stepping stone, but as the thing that you're doing today. Whether you're recording the bank president or your favorite singer, your part is the same. Whether it's going to be a hit record or a local radio commercial, your part is the same. Take pride in the edits, in the documentation, in the clarity, in the responsibility, and you'll have it made, because opportunities will come your way and you might end up in a completely different field. And several of you mentioned that. I can't emphasize the accuracy of everything this panel has said. You guys have been terrific. I've enjoyed listening, and I'll shut up now, but please do join AES if you haven't. Be active in it, meet your fellow students. This is the most important part of getting out. Now it's harder because you working by yourself, you meet fewer people, and you never know when the student sitting next to you is going to end up being the next hit producer, or the student film that you did sound for. That young director is going to be Steven Spielberg. So I'll stop.
And also, it's not just a constant AES plug. It's join a professional organization in your field where they focus on
Absolutely, whether it's a union or a
like Mr. Schulenberg was heading our SAG-AFTRA closest region for a bit. That is another good group if you're
if you're an actor. I have a SAG-AFTRA pension, believe it or not. It actually comes, you do get older. Time goes by.
Yeah.
And all of them. I'll see any kind of group.
Yes.
Where you're going to continuously learn. It's going to keep you on top of your game.
And you meet a panel like this, contact the email addresses are all in here. Contact us. People who participate in events like this are not doing it to blow you off. If you write a sincere message or go to an AES convention and an industry event, they're not there to say, go away, kid, you bother me. This is not what we're doing. And so
we were you, right, Bill? We were you at one point.
Well, yeah, I'm my story. I'm not going to tell it all, but it goes back to where I was 12 years old, 10, 12 years old in the studio. So it's just do what you say you're going to do. My goodness.
And when you go through resumes and emails and things like that, the ones that say like, I met you at this place or on this career panel or at this convention or at this things are the ones that people are like, oh yes, I did meet you. So it doesn't matter if you just have to meet people.
So kind of along those lines that Bill's saying, it's to me, it's a simple recipe, right? Work hard, be nice. Treat everybody with the same respect. I don't care if it's the owner of the company or the guy pushing the broom, because you don't know where those relationships will lead you in a career. And you don't know one day when your phone might ring and somebody wants to pay you double what you're making now just to be on their team because you're a hard worker and you're nice, right?
Absolutely.
So
and
nurture those relationships. You'll
be doing menial jobs forever. I had to clean the toilet just yesterday. If you have a studio, you're cleaning toilets.
That's a different time period, Bill.
Bye. I'll stop.
Eric,
toilet cleaning unless you're being paid.
Yeah. So Eric and Lesley, thank you guys for sharing your valuable time, and it is valuable time, and we appreciate it. And I want you to know that you truly are appreciated for doing that. And thanks to everybody that joined this evening as well. We hope you find information that's useful in this discussion, and hopefully you can use it towards the pursuit of your own careers in audio. And with that, I'm going to say good luck and Godspeed, y'all.
Does anybody want to I feel silly now because I made this big thing about webinars. We can't see people's faces, but we can't see half of your faces here. So does anybody want to You know what? Never mind. What Jay said. You're beautiful. You're all beautiful. Oh,
Others think.
you're all beautiful. Your names are beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you.